alone today. Welcome to Filtered Through Faith. So I'm riding solo. My co-host Sam is celebrating her beautiful little girl's birthday tonight, and so I'm so honored and excited to welcome our next guest. It's also Sam. It's Sam Fenter, and I'm so happy to have her with us in the studio today. And we're just gonna be chatting a little bit about as you grow in your journey with faith, how you serve others, how you love the way Jesus loves you, and how to know what to do, where to start, where to begin, and just all those natural questions that any believer would have. And so when we thought about this and discussed it, myself and Sam, I was like, I know the perfect lady who just does such an amazing and wonderful job. And so I'm so happy to have you here today with us, Sam. Welcome to
Thank
Filter
you.
Through Faith.
Good to be here. Thank you.
Oh, awesome. Okay, so maybe we just start with like an introduction, just like who you are, what it is that you do, and yeah.
So, I am Sam. I am the managing director of an organization called Cherished, and I also am a full time payroll and HR consultant.
Wow,
I'm a mom of two children,
wonderful.
and most importantly, I am a child of God.
Wonderful, wonderful. And can you tell us a little bit about Cherished Foundation? So I obviously familiar with your foundation, but if anybody's watching, can you maybe just tell us a little bit about the Cherished Foundation?
Yeah, so Cherished is an organization. It's a support group for women in the sex industry. So we aim to reach, restore, and equip ladies to live fulfilling lives.
Nice. And
Yeah.
how did it start? How did the foundation begin? Who's the founders behind it? I know you said to me you lead a division of it. You just maybe share a little bit about the background around it?
Yeah, so Shelley and Ryan Sobey are the founders of
Okay.
Cherished. So Ryan used to be the vice president of Love Justice, which
Yeah.
is an organization that intercepts human trafficking
Yeah.
at borders and airports
Mm.
and that kind of stuff. And he would travel all around the world and he would just see,
Yeah.
the injustice of
Yeah.
sex work all over the world.
Mm.
And so he came home one day and he said to Shelley, well, I think you need to do something about it.
Mm.
And she was devastated at first. She was like, there's no ways.
Yes.
But after a little bit of time of wrestling with God and
Yes.
God winning, as he always does,
Yes.
she started up Cherished.
Okay. And
Yeah.
then how did it find you?
Well, that is a long story. So, um, I suppose if you want to really understand the significance of it, I've
Yeah.
got to go a little bit back.
Okay.
So I grew up in quite a abusive home. My father was an
Mm.
alcoholic. He was extremely abusive, diagnosed as a psychopath.
Mm.
He used to beat us terribly. Like um, we were almost murdered a few times by my father.
Sure.
Um, so many things that happened to me in my childhood, and if I had to share everything,
Yeah.
I would be here forever. But I was basically molested by my father's best friend when
Mm.
I was 7 years old. Then I was gang raped when I was in standard five.
Mm.
And then when I was 16 years old, I eventually, I was raped by a
Mm.
man that worked with my mom. And, but when my mom had left my dad, it was the last time my father had beat us. So my father beat me,
Mm.
and but quite badly. I had blue marks all over my face, strangle marks around my neck and
Mm.
everything. And when he had stopped beating me, I ran across to the neighbors
Yeah.
and with my siblings, my older brother and sister. And the neighbors obviously got involved, phoned the police. My father got arrested.
Mm-hmm.
So my mom ran, and then she met my stepdad, who turned out to be just as abusive.
Oh.
So by the time I was 16 years old, he never abused us kids physically, but
Yeah.
emotionally, and he would
Yes.
call us names and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. But my mom, he beat
Mm.
physically. Um, so when I was 16 years old, I decided I need to find a job.
Yeah.
So I was looking in the newspaper. I was like, I'm going to quit school.
Yeah.
And I found this job in the newspaper that said career woman wanted
Mm.
and accommodation provided and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, this sounds like me.
Yeah.
So I phoned the number,
Yeah.
and the guy says to me, well, we have 2 jobs available.
Mm.
The one is for a prostitute.
Wow.
And I was like, no ways, I can't do that.
Yeah.
And then the second one, he said, well, I've got a receptionist. So I'm like, fine, I'm taking the receptionist job.
Yes.
Unbeknown to me at the sweet ripe age of 16,
Wow.
I got to the venue. I can't even, I know it's somewhere in Midrand, but I can't even remember the venue anymore. And it was a brothel and strip club and illegal casino and everything all together. And so sitting at reception, there was this massive TV with 24-hour porn playing and all that kind of stuff. And but eventually it got too much to handle. And so I phoned my sister and I said, look, I need a place to stay. And she was in Durban at that time. She's 6 years older than me.
Yeah.
And she said to me, come live with me in Durban.
Okay.
So I went to go live with her in Durban, but obviously we were all broken.
Yes.
I mean, we were involved in drugs and alcohol, and I mean, we were totally all lost.
Yeah.
And so I moved to my sister in Durban. I started doing a nail technician course.
Okay.
And while I was working there, I met this woman who befriended me. And she seemed to care so much about who I am and, you know, all my problems. My sister would fight with me about money and all these kinds of things. Or, you know, she would get drunk and then lift her hands to me and things like that. And I would go to work all upset. And she knew, but obviously at that age I didn't know.
Yeah.
And she said, why don't you come with me to Cape Town? We're going to go dancing and you're going to make a lot of money there and you can get away from your family problems and all that kind of stuff. And so I was like, this sounds amazing.
Yeah.
So I went with her to Cape Town and she took me to Paarl and she took me straight to a brothel. There was no dancing involved, nothing like that. And so there I was, 16 years old, nowhere to go, no money, totally dependent on these people now.
Yeah.
And then she left me there. So only when I eventually got involved with Cherished did I realize that I'd actually been trafficked.
Yeah.
And I didn't know it. And so there I was, stuck in prostitution. It was too painful to go home.
Yeah.
You know? And obviously I got involved very heavily into drugs. I remember driving home at night, crying out to God, saying, if you exist, you got to get me out of here.
Wow.
And eventually, one day I was sitting on the beach with a bunch of drug dealers and prostitutes went away for, you know, a weekend in Gordon's Bay.
Yeah.
And I was sitting on the beach and I just felt like getting away from the crowd because everyone was inside. I mean, the guys were smoking buttons, you know, falling on the floor, drooling out of their mouths, all that kind of stuff. And so I just felt the need to walk away. And while I was sitting on the beach, God started talking to me. And I knew it was him because I'd never heard the things he was saying to me.
Wow. Things
like, like, you're my beautiful daughter and I love you.
Wow.
This is not the life that I have planned for you. You know, those 2 things are what stuck out to me the most. But he poured so much into me. And I just sat there crying and crying. I was sober within an instant.
Wow.
And I just cried and cried and cried. And the next minute I looked out at the ocean and now it's Cape Town.
Yes.
It's the middle of winter.
Yeah.
I'm wearing dungarees because dungarees were in fashion.
Yes.
And I'm looking at this water and I just felt the need to go dunk myself.
Wow.
In the water. And so I went into the ocean and I dunked myself backwards.
Wow.
Into the water. And it felt like a cleaning ceremony, you know, like and obviously I didn't know anything about baptism at that time. I didn't even know Jesus.
Yes.
My mom would say God, God, God.
Yeah.
You know, I never knew Jesus. And I just really felt like when I came out of that water that I was a new person. And I mean, I didn't leave immediately or anything like that, but I started writing songs and poems and all that kind of stuff. And just getting it out,
Yes.
you know. And then I would start reading my stuff to the other ladies,
Wow.
and they would start crying and they would start leaving. So I tried to leave once, and then I went to go stay with my brother, who was still very much involved in drugs
Yeah.
and everything then. And then it didn't work out. So I phoned the guy and I said, "Can I come back?" Because I
Yeah.
wasn't going back to my stepdad.
Yeah.
And he said, "You can come back as long as you don't read your poems and stuff to the ladies and talk to them
Wow.
about their problems."
Wow.
I was like, "Fine." So anyway, I went back, but eventually I then left.
Yes.
But before I left, I was also trafficked to Singapore.
Sure.
To me, it was an opportunity to travel.
Yes. Yeah.
I didn't see it as trafficking.
Yes.
I
Yes.
only realized it again later. So I traveled to Singapore, to Malaysia as well, worked there.
Sure.
And, you know, it's so typical because every time I came back, I had barely no money left because I had to pay for my flight, pay for the accommodation,
Crazy.
pay for everything. So by the time
Exploitation.
you get back, exactly,
Yeah.
there's nothing left.
Mm.
So eventually I left Cape Town, came home, met my husband, who was a drug dealer. I mean, honestly.
Yeah. It just kind of like,
Yeah.
yeah.
And my uncle, my mom's twin brother, said to me the one day, "You need to go to church." And he wrote me he was a big Christian. And he was a typical evangelist. He even wore sandals. He did sign writing, and he would walk around from town to town,
Wow.
spreading the gospel. And he
Wow.
would sleep wherever
Wow.
he was,
Wow.
which was pretty cool. And he said to me, "No, you need to go to church." So
Yeah.
I found the church that I'm in now, Thrive Church in Edenvale.
Yeah.
Then it was Highway. I've outlived
The
3 name
changes
changes.
of the church. You
3
an anchor
pastors.
tenant in the church.
And then I met Jesus properly. Well, then I knew who I met on the
Yes.
beach.
Yes.
And I got baptized officially.
Wow.
And then I said to my ex, "Look, no sex, no drugs, no nothing anymore." And then we ended up breaking up.
Yes.
And then we got back together again because he said he wanted to change his life.
Yeah.
And then literally a month after we got married, he went straight back to his old ways.
Yeah.
And he said to me, "I just did it to get you to marry me."
Wow.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway, took 7 years for me to eventually leave him because I said to God, "I will not leave him
Yes.
unless I know you are with me."
Wow.
And so I waited until God released me.
Yes.
And he cheated on me. I mean, he cheated on me on our honeymoon, the night before our wedding. You know, we did a whole marriage counseling course for 7 weeks. And the 7th week, we were supposed to renew our vows. And he was out sleeping with the prostitute, ironically. And I still saw it as maybe that was my punishment for what I had done.
Wow.
Took me a while to know God.
Yeah.
Because my whole life was I had to perform for love.
Yes.
You know, with my father, if we didn't do things perfectly, we got beaten up.
Yes.
You know.
And this is the first time you experienced that you just loved.
Yes.
You are loved from the get-go.
Exactly. And
you know, sorry to break your word. It's just like I obviously didn't know. So we know each other and we've had a couple of conversations, but not to this extent. So I didn't know all of this. And for me, like, for you to be so grounded, so joyful, so humble, so all of these things that are just fruits of the, like, just a true example of what it means to follow Jesus, is just so amazing because it just speaks to God's redemptive power of how he like redeems, how he renews, how he restores.
Exactly.
And I'm just like, wow.
Yeah. And whenever I share my story, I always pray that people will not look at me and think, "Wow, what an amazing woman."
Yeah.
I pray that they will look at God and go, "Wow, what an amazing God."
Yes.
Because it is his story.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
So yeah.
So in preparation for this, I was reading some things from your guys' website, and I saw some of the statistics there. And you guys just speak to, the fact that it's not always a choice, and it's not as simple as, oh, women choose this, so end of story. And you just speak to the fact that 89% of women working in the sex industry want to escape. 73% of women in prostitution have been raped more than 5 times, 70% trafficked women are trafficked into the commercial industry. Up to 90% of women in the sex industry were sexually abused as children. And I was just taken aback by those stats. I was like, you don't actually realize how, and even your story, just how almost it was like the enemy was really like gunning for you
No,
to
exactly.
get into that industry.
Yeah.
And so how does Cherished, how did you
Yes,
meet?
yeah. So I eventually left my husband,
Okay.
started going on mission trips, did a bachelor's degree in
Yeah.
theology. I just said, God, I want to know you more.
Yes.
And so then my Christian walk really kicked off.
Wow.
And all the time I was praying, saying, God, I want to get involved in ministry. I want to get involved in ministry, blah, blah, blah. And every time he would block me. I promise you, we had every guest speaker, I gave my life to Jesus like 600 times.
Yes.
It was like every altar call, every guest speaker, I was up there. I just wanted God to tell me, because I always said to him, I don't mind having been through what I've been through, as long as it's not in vain.
Yes.
You know. And he would stop me every single time, and he would say, you're trying too hard.
Yeah.
You're trying too hard, because I was trying to prove myself to him to gain his love.
Yes.
And eventually I was like, well, fine then, I won't go into ministry. And I was working in HR and payroll, studied it.
Okay.
And one day I was sitting all cleaned up.
Yeah.
Now my past was as far away as possible.
Yes.
Literally 20 years later.
Wow.
And I get a phone call, a random phone call from a lady by the name of Tumi.
Wow.
And she says, well, you know, I'm from Cherished.
Yeah.
And this is what we do.
Yeah.
And I felt so exposed, because I was like, first of all, how do you know me?
Yes.
Like, where did you get my number?
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Who are you people? And I mean, I hadn't even shared my testimony at church yet. And I wanted to so many times. And my pastor kept blocking me.
Yes.
And then one day an elder in our church said to me, Sam, maybe it's not because you're not ready to share it, but maybe it's because the church isn't ready to hear it.
Wow.
And there is still so much judgment in the church when it comes to sex workers. And anyway, so I was like, she told me all about it, and I felt God, the prompting of God saying, I'm calling you to this.
Yeah.
And so I said, fine. I eventually found out that she was on a Red Frogs mission trip with another friend of mine that goes to church with me, also still in the church. And Tumi had asked her to join Cherished, and she said, it's not really her thing, but she knows someone who might be better suited. And that's how I got involved.
Wow.
And even then, I mean, my first outreach, it was exactly 20 years later.
Yeah.
And even on my way to my first outreach, the enemy tried to get me. My tire burst on the way there. It like hit off half my bumper at the back.
My gosh.
I was like, I almost phoned them and said, look, I'm not coming.
Yeah.
And then I was like, no, I'm doing this. And I took out my tools from the boot and I'm like, changing this tire. I've never changed a tire in my life before, but I'm changing this tire. Anyway, so luckily a guy came running past, but he ran past.
Yes.
And then God must have stopped him.
And said, hey,
because then
help
he
this lady.
turned away halfway up William Nicol, turned around, came back down. You know, the turn off William Nicol. I was on the highway.
My gosh.
And he ran up, stopped, turned around. He's like, can I help you? I'm like, yes, please. So he changed my tire. And there I went, broken bumper and all to Shelly's house. I was like, I am doing this. Well, actually, it was another lady, Terry's house. But yeah. And and then I served with them for a year.
Okay.
And it was a year when Shelley asked me then to start up a team in the East Rand.
Okay.
And we were 2 East Rand teams, but the one team fell away. So then I took over the whole section.
Okay.
And then 3 years ago, Shelley and her husband Ryan were immigrating to Australia.
Okay.
And then Shelley asked me then to manage
Okay.
Cherished as a whole.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so now you're the MD of it.
Yeah.
And so that's how our paths kind of intersected. Our church has been kind of partnering with you guys and just supporting wherever we can with the events that you had. And I remember the first time you came and announced at church what it is you were doing. And I'll be very honest with you. I was like, it sounded all great, but then you were like, no, sometimes we go into the brothels and we're looking to start up a team here. And sometimes we go in and we minister to the ladies and whatever. And I was like, oh, that's like, where you get like, oh, I don't know if I can do that. Like, and so in my heart, I was like, okay, like Sam seems great and I'd love to get involved, but it feels scary. And even when I first volunteered at one of your events, I was like, how will I even relate to these ladies? Like, I don't know if I'll be able to relate to the ladies. And at this last event that I was at with a colleague of mine, when we left and drove home, I said to her, do you know, it just felt like I was talking to another sister.
Exactly.
It was really just like so normal. I think we get all in, like you said, sometimes the church is not ready, the body of Christ is not ready, and we get so all in our head about it.
Yeah.
And we think like it's not, but actually you can totally relate. It's another lady.
Yeah.
It's just another lady who
Exactly.
has
Yeah.
obviously a different path, but it's not anything to be afraid of. Like, I actually really had such great conversations with the ladies, and I still keep in touch. I don't even know if you know, there's one lady that I met that I keep in touch with her.
Really?
Yeah, so she her baby is like 2 months younger than my baby.
Oh,
So I
cute.
said at that day I had like things for a baby in the car that I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with these baby clothes. I was gonna give it to another foundation that our church also is like supports, but I'd given them and they always get so many things. So I had this in my car, and then I met with her and we were just chatting and we just like had a nice connection. And so I was like, you know what, I have all these things for a little girl in my car, like, can I give it to you? Just like, yes please. And I took her number. And now I still often like will say to her, okay, I'm giving, and we'll meet somewhere now.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
So
That's so
I am just so I'm always just stunned and amazed by what you guys do, and I just love it. And do you guys have like a lot of ladies that come and say, okay, it sounds great, Sam, but I'm afraid, or I don't know,
Everybody.
everybody?
Yeah.
Okay.
So then we guilt trip people by making them watch Nefarious. So if you want to be guilt tripped.
What is Nefarious? Is it a movie?
So no,
Oh.
yeah, it is a movie, but
Okay.
it's a documentary done
Oh.
by Exodus Crime.
Oh.
And it's about a group of people
Okay.
who were trying to find the root cause of trafficking.
Yes.
And they traveled all over the world, interviewing different people, organizations, brothels, pimps,
Yes.
club owners, things like that.
Yeah.
And it boils down to, if you want to fight human trafficking, you have to combat prostitution.
Yeah. Wow.
And one part of it in Sweden, I think it is, where, there, if you get caught having sex with a prostitute, you get name and shamed on the news. The prostitute is protected.
Wow.
The sex worker, we don't really like using the
Yes.
word prostitute, but
Yeah.
the sex worker is protected,
Yeah.
taken into a program where she gets restored and,
Yes.
like given a whole new
Wow.
opportunity at life. And the man gets name and shamed on the
Yeah.
news.
Wow.
So the percentage of prostitution there is like 0.003%.
Wow.
So it's quite amazing.
Wow.
But yeah, it's a very interesting movie. Like the one lady in America says she'd been raped so many times in her life that when someone actually offered her money for it, she couldn't believe it.
Oh my gosh.
She was like, wow.
Wow.
I mean, they keep taking it from me. Why not get money for it?
Sure.
So,
And just a question, Sam, around like you had said, you'd started feeling like I wanna serve, Lord. I feel like, okay, I feel loved by you. I feel like I wanna share. It does feel like a very natural instinct to a believer when you get to a certain level or a certain place of growth in your faith that you want to share it with others. And I know a lot of people struggle, which is really why I was like, okay, that you would be a great person to talk to. For me, it was also a struggle. I also did a similar prayer. I was like, Lord, I want to serve somewhere. I don't know where. I don't know where you'd have me be.
Yeah.
And that same day, our pastor had called and said, okay, can we serve in the youth ministry? And that's how I feel like God has called me into like serving in the next generation, like
That's
youth
beautiful.
and kids and things
Yeah.
like that. But um, if somebody's like lost, or they feel like, what's it, some advice that you have, like, and that I want to serve, I feel like I've grown in my faith, but I don't even know where to begin, and it doesn't feel like serving on the coffee and tea team is it.
Yeah. I think, you know, God has put a burden in everybody's heart.
Yeah.
You know, there will always be some sort of injustice that really upsets you to a certain degree.
Mm.
And I'm actually stealing my pastor's words now. He preached about this not so long ago, and I was like, this is good stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm going to relay the message just in case he watches
Perfect.
this and he thinks, look at her, she's stealing my stuff. But he was saying that, and I related to it, so
Yeah.
I can speak from it personally, is that if there's an injustice that you feel burdened, you know, so many times we complain about what's wrong in the world.
Yeah.
And often God lays things on our hearts because he wants us to be the solution.
Yes.
And so go into your quiet room and ask God, you know, search your heart.
Yeah.
You know, pay attention to what's happening inside of you, because God has given us gifts and he's given us burdens.
Yes.
And, you know, every single person, that's why it talks about the body of Christ.
Yes.
You know, if you're a Christian, you're a part of the body of Christ. And if you're a part of the body of Christ, you've got work to do.
Yes.
You know, and so ask God, you know,
Yeah.
what is your burden?
Yeah.
And then just start moving towards it.
Yeah.
You know, it might, if it's homeless people, for example, my
Yes.
daughter is crazy about homeless people. And eventually I said to her, look, if you want to feed homeless people, you're using your own pocket money, because
Yes.
that's not my burden. And she did. She
Wow.
started using her pocket money to make
Wow.
sandwiches and
Wow, that's
whatever. So
amazing.
very cute. But, you know, God will stir something up in your heart.
Yes.
And then the second thing he said was grab a hold of it.
Mm.
You know, hold on to that and pray into that.
Yeah.
Ask God to open your eyes to see what
Yes.
he sees in that space.
Yeah.
And then when he gives you an instruction,
Yeah.
obey it.
Yeah.
You know, and it normally starts off small.
Hmm.
Like for me, it was join the outreach team.
Wow.
You know, which eventually led up to manage it.
Yes.
And the other day we had a prophetic word that I need to buy a map.
Wow.
And I need to pray over the map, because God's going to highlight the countries that he wants us to move to. So I'm like, okay, if that's what you say, I'll pray over the map, and you're going to have to do the rest, because, you know, and yeah, and God he will never waste a hungry heart.
Wow.
You know, if a person is hungry to serve him for the right reasons.
Yeah.
So I was hungry, but for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
But when you reach the point where you say, okay, God, this just isn't right anymore, and I want to do something about it.
Yeah.
You love these people,
Yeah.
and you deserve for them to love you.
Yes.
And so what can I do?
What are some of the wrong reasons, in your opinion? Like, how do you, if you're doing some introspection and you're like, okay, and you're like, Lord, I'm ready, but nothing's happening, no doors are opening. What are some of like the wrong reasons?
Well, first of all, for your own agenda.
Yes.
To be noticed, you know, and we see often when people join Cherish, they're the kinds of people who want to check in on Facebook.
Yes.
You know? It's like, no, you can't do that. This is a very discreet, confidential ministry. You can't say booking into this brothel.
Yes, exactly.
You know, it just doesn't work. So are you doing it for recognition?
Yes.
Or are you doing it because you have a broken heart? You know, if you're running a ministry, are you doing, money? Are you raising money to make your life comfortable? Or are you willing to lose everything to make other people's lives comfortable? You know, pride.
Yeah.
Just pride. Pride is, generally, if you don't want to do it, if you look at Shelley, you know, she's like, God, I really don't want to do this, but if you want me to do it, I'll do it. You know?
So we spoke to this, it's actually a great way into our next part of the conversation. We spoke to this a couple of months ago about like the why you do something. Because if obedience is behind it, if humility is behind it, you'll stay when it gets tough.
Yes.
And it will no doubt get tough.
Exactly. Yeah.
So was there times when it got tough and you were like,
every day. But when I first took over Cherished, I had come from a very corporate background. And obviously, serving on a team is completely different to managing the
Yes.
organization. And so there were so many things in me that had to change, and it got so hard at one point that I felt like walking away. I felt like I was crawled up in a fetal position on the floor, and the enemy was just shooting arrows directly at me the whole time. And I really almost lost it.
Yeah.
And that was within the first year. And I would phone Shelly and I'm like, I'm not doing very well, boo. And I like totally break down. And then she said something very wise to me. She said to me, first of all, if what you are carrying is too much to bear, God's promise says that his burden is easy and his yoke is light.
Yes.
So if what you're carrying is heavy, you need to go back to God and ask him, what are you carrying that you're not meant to be carrying? Because it's supposed to be light. So that was one of the things I had to do.
Yeah.
The other thing I had to do was lay down control.
Wow.
Because I wanted everything to go smooth.
Yes.
I wanted everybody to say yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I wanted everyone to love this ministry. And if people didn't love it, I was like,
yes, yes. And to see it the way you see it and to have the same passion you have all the time, like, yeah, I get you.
And patience.
Yes.
I had to learn to wait on God. And I've never been a patient person. I am a D-type personality. Results give me energy, and it just has to get done.
Yes.
And I had to learn that things don't work like that in the kingdom of God. And I had to learn to wait. Yeah. Patiently wait. And then, so that was the personal struggle. And then obviously juggling, because when I took over Cherished, I left my job, I left everything. Yeah. And I was like, financially, things were falling apart in my life. Crazy. I mean, I hadn't been in such a difficult financial position in a long time. Wow. And I remember God saying to me, if you can't trust me to provide for you, then how can you ever be a full-time missionary, in full-time ministry? Yes. And so I had to lay it down. And then God just started opening up amazing doors, and I would be lying on the bed crying because I don't have food to feed my children. Yeah. And then next minute my phone would ring. I'd be like, God, I can't take this anymore. Yeah. And then my phone will ring. Sam, God just laid you on my heart. I feel like I need to send you money. Just send me your banking details, please. Wow. And that was also a pride I had to let go and say, okay, here are my banking details. Because then it was like, no, don't worry about it. We'll be okay, God. It's like the guy standing on the roof in the flood. Yeah. It was very much like that. Yeah. And God's like,
I've sent you 3 ways for you to be saved. And you. So I resonate so much with what you're saying, Sam. Yeah. It was also such a hard thing for me to, I was saying to Des, who you've met, like the other week we were driving home and I was like, Des, I always thought I was content. Yeah. But I'd realized that actually my contentment still had a lot of my own control in it. Yes. So like I was content with, instead of going on 5 holidays, Lord, if we can only go on 1, that's okay. Yeah. Yeah. Like if we don't get a 6-bedroom house, maybe we'll get a 3-bedroom house. That's okay. Yeah. Like that was my level of contentment because there was a lot still in my control, especially financially. Where I was going to be in my career in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years, it was like, no, I'm content if it doesn't happen, but it's in my control because I can work hard, I can do extra, I can outshine my colleagues, you know what I mean? Yes. Like, so actually it wasn't really, like when I look at it now, it was like, it was false contentment that I believed I had. Yeah. And in this journey that I've been walking this year, that I've been in full-time ministry, I've really felt like the Lord is really challenging me with like what it means to be content. Like, I don't know what the next 5 years look like. I don't know what the next 3 years look like. I don't know where and I was telling one of our elders in the week, I was like, I actually feel like I resonate so much with Abram and the like, who God was just like, go here, and they just
Yeah,
had to go.
exactly.
Yeah.
You live life so you can move fast.
Yes,
You know?
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
So one more question from me and it's something I've been like wrestling a little bit with lately. Um Having your kids, because I've noticed when we done events, your kids were there and they were like helping and involved and things like that. How do you manage the balance with them naturally wanting to be involved in your ministry, in what you believe you've been called to, and not coming across like you like forcing it on them and they must, or
Well, don't be fooled. I do pay them.
okay. Okay. Okay, great. That's
So
fine.
if I need help with packing gifts or something and
Okay.
there's someone else who can help me, I'm like, I'll give you $100.
Okay.
And then
Okay,
they
great.
pack the gifts.
Okay, great.
But with that said, it the more they were in it,
Yes.
even though their starting intention wasn't right.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, was it wrong, really?
Yes.
No,
Yeah.
they were helping me work.
Yes. Yeah.
And it did develop them over time. So now they both serve a church. They
Okay.
obviously don't get paid for being a
Yes.
volunteer. They
Yes.
serve in hospitality, and
Yeah.
and they serve with the kids on a Friday.
Oh.
And my daughter also serves at the Sunday school on
Okay.
a Sunday. So it did. The more they interacted with the ladies and the people, then their hearts
Yes.
started softening.
Okay.
But yeah, it wasn't a desire for them.
Okay. Okay.
But when I was going on mission trips, one of the well, he's not really an elder, but he's seen as an
Yes.
elder, but
Yes.
he's not doesn't have the title.
Yeah.
But he's very prophetic.
Yeah.
And on one of our mission trips, he said to me, Sam, never forget, God says you're a missionary family.
Yeah.
Because I
Wow.
always felt like my kids and my ministry,
Yeah.
whatever it is, any work you're doing for God
Yes.
is ministry. So I always felt like I was juggling two different areas of my life.
Yes.
And that day, God showed me, no, but it's all one area. We don't compartmentalize our lives.
Yes.
Everything should be for God. And
Yeah.
God then, when He moves into those spaces, then He
Yeah.
makes all things possible,
Oh, that's
So I'm a single mom.
Yes.
I have a full-time job. I run a
Yes.
full-time ministry.
Yes.
I'm a life group leader at church. I'm a
Yes.
life group leader coach at church.
Yes.
And people are like, how do you do it? And I'm like, it's God.
Yes.
And when He works everything out,
Yeah.
And
I think they also start to learn and believe that this is the culture of our family.
Yeah.
This is the
Exactly.
culture of our family. We help each other out. We work together. We serve in ministry in whichever capacity we feel led to, but we serve.
Yeah.
So this was like one of the conversations I had with my kids, because I'd felt we had an event. We had a couple of like hectic weekends, and I had to force them to be with me. And that night I had like not a great dream, and I really felt like the Lord was saying to me, like, just especially with my teenage daughter, as she grows into like independence, like just be careful about forcing it and things like that. And so I said to them, look, I feel like I'm not going to force you, but you are going to have to serve in some or other capacity.
Yeah.
So if it's not this, then you're going to serve in some, because this is the culture of our family.
Yeah.
And until you leave this house,
Yeah.
that will just be, and I'd obviously explained to them why it's important and that type of thing, but I did feel like, okay, I need to create some balance and some boundaries so that they don't feel like, okay, we just have to be in this thing because mommy's in this thing,
Yeah. And you also want them to find their own
Yes.
calling,
Yeah.
and that's the thing, like with my daughter, she's got such a soft heart. She's tough, she's cheeky, but she's got such a soft heart, and at church, she often, because I've been there for so long, everybody knows me,
Yeah.
And people are constantly going to her and comparing her to me.
Yeah.
And I feel she hasn't outright said it,
Yeah.
but I feel like, and for some other reason, everybody tends to think I'm amazing, because people will say to your mom is so amazing.
Yeah.
I love your mom.
Well, you are, and we do.
And I feel like for her, she feels
Yes.
like, oh,
Yeah.
actually, I'm Hannah.
Yeah.
I'm me.
Yeah.
I have my own life. I'm my
Yes.
own person.
Wow.
You know, how about you recognize me for me and not
Yes.
for whose
Yes.
child I am?
Yes.
You know, although which is quite ironic because
Yeah.
I want to be recognized for whose child I am.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
but as you know, they're on their own journeys.
Yes.
And I read an article. I mean, my journey with my son has not been easy. I mean, he's had sexual identity crisis,
Yeah.
all sorts of things, and I remember John Piper's article. He said, you know, we pray for our children to have radical stories, but yet we want to wrap them in bubble wrap and prevent them from living that radical story.
Wow.
You know, because it's normally people with a radical past that have a radical passion for God. And so I was like, okay, I got to let go.
Yeah.
You know, and when my son was born, strangely enough, everyone was so angry with me for having a son with my ex, obviously.
Wow. Yeah.
You know,
yes.
And maybe I should have listened to them, but
but thank God
but
he's
I've got
here.
my children.
Yes.
And I remember when he was born, God said to me, "He's my son." And I was like, "No, of course we all do." He's like, "No, he's mine." And every single time I would go through something, he's got ADHD. You know, it was really just a difficult journey with him.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got a beautiful heart.
Yes, I've met him. He's lovely. He's wonderful. Yeah.
But and every time I went through something hard, God would say, "He's my child."
Wow.
So then eventually, when I was angry with him, I'd be like, "Your child."
Speak to your child, Lord.
But like Moses, speak to your people.
yeah. Yeah.
You know, so they are also God's children, and they are people on their own path. And sometimes we just got to let them walk it.
Yeah.
To get, if they don't walk it, they're not going to get to where they're meant to go.
So true.
Yeah.
It has been just so wonderful for me to speak to you, Sam. I've learned so much even in just this conversation, and I always do whenever whenever I connect with you, it's nothing but a blessing.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
Can you just share with, if there's anybody who would like to reach out to Cherished, get involved in some or other way, how can they do that?
Yeah, so we have a website, www.cherishedsa.org. Then you can email info@cherishedsa.org. And I think those are, and we're on Facebook, Cherished SA. And we're also on Instagram, which is fairly new, so I'm assuming it's also Cherished SA. Our marketing lady deals with that part. Just email.
Yes. I'm sure you'll find it. The internet is great, so I'm sure you'll find it. Well, thank you so much, Sam. And I hope that if you're listening there and you are in that stage in your faith journey where you're just like wrestling, Lord, where do I serve? How do I serve? I feel like I want to share. I feel so hungry, so ready. And you were just waiting or not sure what or where or how to get involved. I pray that this conversation helped you and led you and guided you the right direction. Thank you so much, Sam, for your vulnerability, for your great and amazing story.
And thank you for having me. It's been great fun. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And that's it from us. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, all the things. You know what to do by now. And thank you for joining. Bye.